Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VALORANT Game Changers North America, presented to you by Verizon. I am so excited to be bringing you Series 1 opening weekend today. I am your host, Sajine, and joining me on my desk is the always awesome Tanner Metro and Dan Dryad. How are you both doing? I'm going to start with you, Dryad, because Tanner has a lot to say, apparently, so.
I'm super good. I'm so excited for this. It feels like we've waited quite a long to start this Game Changers North America. Other regions already started, but now it's our turn. So I'm excited to see what's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm right there. I'm right there with Dryad. I will keep it to a minimum, but I am very excited. It's been quite some time. There have been a lot of changes, obviously, to the meta, and it's been a while since we've seen Game Changer. So I'm really excited to see everybody competing throughout this week and the changes that they've made.
Yeah, and speaking of those changes that they've made, there has been a lot. Game Changers living up to its name, right? Instead of the 32 teams that we saw from last year, it has been bumped up significantly. We have 48 teams competing for this open qualifier leading up to the main event. It's pretty wild. It's actually a GSL format here, so we're starting things off 48 teams. They'll be sliding over to the top 24 and then eventually making it to the top 8 for the main event. Now, even if you're not in the top 8, there is 410 points of Game Changers on the line here, because that's all going to add up. Top 2 teams in North America are looking to represent NA in the global stage over at Sao Paulo. So it's going to be pretty hype and good weather and good food there too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And honestly, I'm so excited for that because when we had that representation from last year, it was so good with Cloud9, with Shopify as well, surprising that international event. But there's been, like you guys said already, some changes in the scene. And that means that version and the 2 teams that are going to qualify to Sao Paulo are going to look completely different to last year. And that's what we want to see, right? That we want to see that evolution of the scene. And it's so cool.
Yeah, and you kind of touched up on that already, and that's a talking point that we did bring up here. With these 48 teams from last year and from the initial birth of Game Changers, Cloud9 White has been almost synonymous with this scene, and they are not a team on this Game Changers for this year. The players themselves have been dispersed and spread around. Isn't that right, Tanner? Look at this beautiful graphic that we have in case you get lost.
It would almost be goofy to not mention this. Obviously, we did a whole lot of talking about Cloud9 White the last couple of years. But yes, getting started again in 2023 without a Cloud9 White, it shocked a lot of people. Obviously, it's not very shocking that every single one of these players have found a home, and fortunately, a couple of them have been able to kind of keep that synergy within themselves. Bob and Katsumi making their way out towards Xset, Mel and Alexis version 1, and then Jazzykins, I think, leveling up that Complexity GX3 roster. But yes, we have to talk about Cloud9 White, or I guess the lack thereof. But I love this so much because, as Dryad mentioned, we're going to see a couple of different names, quite possibly, representing North America at the global stage. And this just levels up the competition as a whole. Instead of having a Titan, one singular Titan, now we have so many strong teams. It's going to be a very competitive year.
And these 2 teams, the one from Katame and Mel, we actually got to see them competing when they were trying to make it onto challengers, and they had to face each other. It was so close. It ended up being a comeback. So them already getting that experience going against each other, but obviously still supporting everybody that was their teammate before. But it's cool, yeah, like Tanner was saying, just to see those Titans now having to face each other and really having a question on who's gonna be at the top and who's gonna get that number 1 spot towards the end of this Game Changers.
And let's talk about another fun change that's been introduced here, not seen from from the last iteration. A fan favorite, not a player, but wingman with his big boss man. That is Gekko. Tanner, you absolutely called out that you expect to see a lot of Gekko playtime coming in, right?
Yeah, yes, I'm very excited for this. I think there's been, I guess, technically a little bit more time for the Game Changers teams to be working on Gekko. But as soon as Gekko was available, we saw them played around the world, right? You're seeing the rounds played throughout our partnered leagues. And with that, coming into this open qualifier for GC1, there's been a little extra time, some more time for experimentation, from some more time. I guess once Echo was released, coaches and teams knew that Gekko would be playable for this event. So I am absolutely expecting somebody very, very soon here in day one to be busting out Gekko.
You get more time to play it, and also you get more time to watch it, because we've seen it all across different regions. We've seen it in EMEA, we saw it in North America just this weekend, and so you're able to see what kind of combinations they're doing with his utility, with the wingman, and everything else. So I'd love to see it. I don't know how many teams, though, are going to feel comfortable. Obviously, it's so different to what they're used to, so just finding that comfort and finding those teams that like to be creative to see if we're going to see it at least today.
Well, speaking of, let's see if these teams are going to be the ones to first field Gekko. We do have our first matchup for the day, and it's going to be a very hype one. Something that I know a lot of people are looking forward to is SHFT versus DSG. Now I'm going to start with you here, Dryad. This is a matchup that I know a lot of people have been keeping an eye on, especially with the announcement of DSG participating at this event. Let me know your thoughts.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for this. I mean, I've been watching all of these content creators on the side of DSG for the longest time. Even if it's not Twitch, you always see their clips on Twitter, you see them on TikTok, everywhere, and it's so fun to watch them. And now having them all together, I think is going to be great. A lot of eyes are going to be on them to see how they're going to be performing. So definitely a lot of pressure that they have to be feeling, but I feel like they're also just kind of used to having all those eyes on them.
Yeah, a lot of eyes on these teams in general, but I think now the scene in general, because of Disguise also working a Game Changers roster into this one, I think this is going to be a very competitive matchup. Obviously, we take a peek at this bracket now. Things get a little bit harder as there's going to be, you see that match 4 spot. It will be EG versus the winner of this one. But to get started with DSG and SHFT, I think it's going to be a great learning experience for a lot of these players to get some actual officials and not just, playing in scrims and playing solo queue at the highest levels. I think we're in for a really solid series here.
Now, speaking of solid series, as we still keep our focus a little bit on DSG, we do have a little bit of a highlight on their IGL Tupperware, who has been scouted on the social media space. Yeah. I do love, like Toast was just like, I need an IGL. Who do we got? And he got an amazing Tupperware. So let's look at the stats here. Dryad, like what stands out to you right now? Because we're seeing an Astra, a Viper, and then suddenly a Breach.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that flexibility that Tupperware always been known for. And that is going to be the question today. How flexible? Also, of course, having the IGL role, like you were saying, right? Scouted from Twitter, Disguised Toe said, hey, I'm looking for an IGL. And then a lot of people obviously vouching for Tupperware was able to find that spot. And I think it just complements this team so well, especially with these agents, Tanner.
Yeah, Tupperware brings a lot into this team in way of competitive experience, playing recently and very recent with X at Purple in the Astral Clash event, but also Immortals all throughout GC last year. The one thing that I wanted to highlight with these stats is a wealth of knowledge, but brand new to IGLing, and is also not going to be playing on this very comfortable 1700 controller role, rounds played. Yep. Instead is looking to play the flashes and the flex role, the breach, the KO, something of the sort. So taking a step back from a little bit of comfortability, also filling that IGL role, it may weigh on some of that competitive experience that she brings to the team. But if anybody could do it, I think, like we mentioned, right? Twitter was there vouching for Tupperware to be that player who could make this change and make it work.
Absolutely. Now, you kind of touched up on the whole comfortability and familiarity situation that is happening here for Tupperware, who essentially, I would say, other than their coach, is the only one with true competitive experience in comparison with SHFT, who is a new roster right now. But a lot of their players have had Game Changers and Game Changers Academy experience. So they do have that feel of competitiveness. And I know we talked a little bit about Jupiter as well, who's probably going to be fielding a similar role to Tupperware. I'm curious, Tanner, do you feel like that there's a level of if you've played enough competitive Valorant versus scuffed rank,
right?
Is that going to be something that like puts you a step ahead?
So coming into this, I thought yes for SHFT. I thought that they had the competitive edge in way of, I guess you could say, macro, and DSG are going to be working, are coming into this one with a lot of micro, but they've been on this accelerated path to success, right? Where they have a very, very flexible and knowledgeable IGL and Tupperware coming in. Obviously, you mentioned it, Saj. Their coach in Ruin obviously brings a lot to this. They've been very vocal about how they're scrimming and how they're pracking, and not just vocal, right? They've just been putting it online for people to see. So they've been on this accelerated path. Unfortunately, you can't beat Father Time. So it doesn't matter how much work you put onto the server. There still could be issues just because this DSG team is relatively new in way of them playing together. And so SHFT, the couple of players that have been playing since September of last year in Amy's and Jupiter, I do think that they could have a bit more, they might mesh a little bit better and have that better macro over the micro that DSG is bringing into this one.
Absolutely. Now, before we slide into the map pick and bans, which are ready, I did tap, Carter Jade for a little bit of a vibe check as far as like how she's feeling for this matchup today. And we do have that on screen for you. I love it. Right? Excited, nervous, excited, nervous, excited. And
yeah, it's so fun, and that's kind of the whole vibe for this team. It's fun. It's also they're repping the DSG brand as well, and it's just so fitting for them, the excitement that they're gonna be feeling, and also connecting into what you guys were saying a little bit more on how is it gonna play out, because all those scrims, all that practice, all that coaching obviously is not nearly the same as playing that official match for the first time. So that's when you're gonna have to deal with those nerves, with that excitement, and how are you gonna channel it more into your match and into you getting those kills.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because outside of kind of just the comfortability playing together, there are going to be a lot of nerves. Obviously, for this DSG squad, who are really stepping their first look into officials, right? They're hopping onto the server and finally getting it done, and they're doing it on stream. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on them, even as content creators, right? It's a different feeling when everybody's watching you, expecting you to do well. But on the other side, I want to highlight a player in Jupiter who is also playing for their university team, University of Oregon. So a lot of competitive experience there. Although playing the duelist role, I'm assuming, I don't know what it quite looks like with 3 changes to the roster for SHFT. It's hard sometimes to lead from the front. I know we've seen players like Giuliano from G2 do that and play that duelist role, and also IGL. But I think a lot of onus on this matchup comes for Jupiter to be a big voice, and not only fragging out as a duelist, but also figuring out how to beat and pick apart this DSG squad.
Well, let's slide into it. Talking about nerves, I'm sure everybody's like getting ready to go. I'm getting ready to go, but let's talk about the map picks and bans coming into this, because I'm a little sad that there's no new split. It has been banned out, but Icebox is in play. I'm excited for this first pick by DSG, even because while it's not really seen in what's it called, in the VODs right now, I watched Tens and Kaide practice some lineups here, so I'm really curious to see what's going to be the playbook that DSG is coming in, seeing as it's their pick here. What are your thoughts, Dryad?
Yeah, I know there's a little mixed thoughts about Icebox and seeing it competitively, but I think for this scenario and these two teams facing each other is actually perfect. Even though there's a lot of a very similar meta all across in a worldwide scenario, even when you have that, it becomes a little bit easier because you know exactly how everything is going to play out. And for teams that are new or that receive such big changes, then you want to have that comfort to start off.
And I also want to add that Icebox is a map that we've seen teams experiment with the Gekko. I say experiment, but it was happening in official. So there is a world where maybe not DSG, because obviously they have a lot going on, but the more we see Icebox throughout the week, I think the more chances we have to see Gekko. The other maps were Pearl, Lotus, and Split. So all of those are gone. So maybe this matchup we don't get the Gekko right off the rip, but hopefully as the week progresses. I also had seen that DSG were scrimming, pretty directly scrimming. If they weren't scrimming, they were 5-stacking, but they were having direct customs on Haven. So I think if they're comfortable on Icebox and we're going to Haven as SHFT's map pick for map number 2, I think this is a pretty good map pool for DSG. I think it looks pretty solid.
I think so too, and I've actually watched a lot of lineup practices from both teams right now, as far as how they want to play Haven, but it's also going to be looking like if we go to a map 3, which I'm sure everybody on either side are going to want a map 3, it's the wonderful comfort that is Ascent. I would say I would call it like the equalizer map here. Now, I'm going to throw it here to Tanner before we jump into the casters. Do you have a call, like you have your game changers full on picks? I've seen your Twitter.
Yeah.
For this particular matchup.
It's just getting called out.
So the thing with predictions is predictions are difficult, right? Because, you know, it's open qualifiers. We're here at the beginning. And what my goal is right now is to ramble as long as I can until production says that, Saj, you have to throw it back to the caster. So that way I don't have to make a prediction. If I did have to make one, my prediction would be, I think we get 3 maps. I think this one goes the way. I could see a world where DSG loses. I know they've been putting a lot into this one. I don't want to root against DSG, but there's a lot of nerves versus although maybe a minor amount, there is experience for SHFT. So I think SHFT takes this one 2-1.
All right, well, I'm going to hold off putting Dryad on the hotspot here because I do want to hear what our casters have to say about what Tanner is putting out there into the world. Gompers, Vans, take us away.
Thank you so much, Sajideen. Vans, listen, okay, Tanner has his takes, but we have ours as well. I'm also excited to see with these map picks in Vans what agents we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, super excited for this one too. Super excited for DSG as well, right? There are a lot of hype around this team. At the same time, there's been a lot of streams going on from each players and also from, Coach Ruin that has that experience previously from Complexity's team. I know they've been in the lab. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking to see what SHFT can bring to the table. With the first map being Icebox, and you're talking about composition, I'm intrigued for this one here, Gompers, because if you were watching a little bit about on the scrims and what's been going around for DSG for the Game Changer side, Rune was doing a lot of like coaching around, okay, this is like the basics of like running this and that. Hey, Quarter J, why don't you try to play a jet here and there? And it didn't look like it was like the best on day one, but it looked a lot better later on throughout the days. But if we're going to a map like Icebox, I wouldn't be surprised if this was all like shenanigans, like literally disguised strategies that was a plan here for DSG in the beginning, and then you'll see Quarter J coming out as Arena, which would be great on a map like Icebox, right? Now you play your comfort pick, you get into your roles, and then you might be able to get that victory.
I mean, a victory is what we're shooting for here, especially for a new team like DSG, right? You're coming onto a very, very big stage. All eyes are on them. I mean, the traction that this has gotten over the past couple of weeks is insane. But not only that, but I feel like they've been putting a lot of effort into it, right? You look at their streams, you look at their scrims, you look at what's going on behind the scenes, and you start to realize that this isn't just some team coming together. This is a bunch of people really putting in the work and the effort, which I gotta be real, I really respect.
I agree. And it's not going to be an easy matchup as well, right? This is a huge hype around DSG, of course. I mean, even myself had the privilege of casting like the offline TV, Valorant invitationals, the charity events that they've been doing. So it's nice to see now on a professional stage for Game Changers of how they're going to be playing. But a team like SHFT is also not a team to be, tossing aside. There's a lot of these players that have had that synergy, that experience with the lineup. If you've heard of that team before, back in the plugging days too, trying to get through the Game Changers Academy. So if you want to talk about synergy versus quote-unquote the clout that DSG brings, SHFT does have an upper hand when it comes down to that type of lineup. So I'm intrigued for that, and I'm intrigued for this, actually. So we do have Arena coming out, but it's not going to be on Quarter Jade. It's actually going to be on Tupperware. So we are giving that responsibility a lot here to Quarter Jade to be like, hey, start practicing the op, start figuring it out, start figuring out that agent as well. But overall, you could definitely see that here, Gompers, that the composition's still pretty standard on both ends.
Yeah, and I'm really liking the double duelist composition as well, because if we're feeling things out, we know DSG is going down on that defender side, so what are they really playing for here? I mean, it could be a very heavy attack going into the attacker side and then trying to really just scrape on by on the defense, or is Sidion really going to be that factor with Kaide to bring that defense together? Now for DSG, I mean, that could be the case for sure, although I'm just more so interested. Listen, Tanner said you cannot beat Father Time, but they have the resources here for DSG. They have TenZ. I mean, listen, I would pay numerous amounts of money just to have TenZ coach me. But it's these things that you can really bring together. That's okay. They had such a very good coach coming in. These players have already played, I wouldn't say professionally before, but very, very high ranks. So they understand the game at a very good mechanic level. So coming into this tournament, all they're missing out on is that competitive experience.
You know, you also have that meme of like, you know, when we have something and they're like, oh, we got the something at home. So yes, DSG has TenZ with Kaide and TenZ, but DSG also has TenZ and truly Tenzin, right? So
yeah,
sorry, it's me, my dad jokes. But just actually talking about Tenzin, she's actually a very, very experienced player too, and very experienced on a Sova. And I've been looking at the lineups she's been putting up as well. Very comfortable in that role too. So again, you go back to the comfort picks, you go back to what you really want. And seeing Tupperware playing as a Reyna on this team, on this very map, you're kind of like going to try to call things and try to initiate on your own and have people following behind you. And hopefully you have something like Quarter Jade that has that experience to be able to trade off with her teammates and open up the way that we want. And we'll see how that's going to pan out as pistol round's about to start.
Yeah, Tupperware as well taking that IGL role for this team, especially adding on that duelist pressure. I'm not so sure how easy that's going to be. We're probably going to be able to see so. I mean, a nice wall already covering up those corridors, but Jade coming up from behind. You have the first touch already being made there by DSG. That lead so far is bringing through for a possible dub.
That's already a great start for DSG, opening up with the first kill of the tournament as a brand new team, and it's a perfect timing from Quarter Jade. Less shy than what I've seen when she first started playing the Jet. Now really initiating, pushing forward, getting that flank, and getting the early player advantage. And it seems that DSG are very comfortable playing a retake.
Oh, I mean, listen, the retake was looking good, but unfortunately, so far, Tupperware having to utilize that aim, try to push themselves even further into this game. And DSG, we talked about it, the training and the amount of work that they have put into this to suffice for this moment. Tupperware brings the heat.
That's what I'm talking about as well. Tupperware, the experience coming out from the Immortals, being the only pro player coming into this roster and basically being the captain and the leader of this DSG squad. She's gonna find that information, do a lot of things on her own, and then try to find like, okay, let's set things up. Let's find those chess pieces. Where are my teammates? Where can I place them? And you know what? This time she didn't need any of that. But at least for Shift, they get the plant down. This could potentially bring into a stinger buy on the second round if they want to. But it seems like we have other plans. Yes, small armor. Okay, wait. Actually, with the small armors, I might see some stingers coming up, but we'll have to find out soon here as we're setting up for conditioning with the wall on the left side. And it's just classic with armor. That is actually even more interesting.
Oh, okay. I got a bit scared there, right? With the two duelers peek out coming through here. I mean, no punishment so far. Another 2K from Tupperware. You're starting to see, you know, what this team can offer, especially in a game like this when Kaide making some good shots happen.
Yeah. And I see the idea now with the small shields. I mean, for me, it feels like maybe you could get a little bit more utility or weapons out of that. But you're still buying to like an even number, right, in terms of the economy for the rest of your team. But for the rest, it looks really good here for DSG, closing in here on the mid side. You saw the wall early into B main, really funneling Shift all the way out towards that mid site. So having that call to put early walls on defense, knowing that your opponents are going to be on an eco, it's actually really strong to funnel everybody out towards that stack. Look at that! Look at the radar. Everybody's ready to be set up for a push on mid and A side because of that wall that they placed early on B. So nicely done, good game plan. Now we have the gun round coming out from Shift, looking to bring a little bit of pressure towards this mid. Standard stuff that you see, probably the poison up on mid as well from this Viper being played by Ari.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We're going to try to default around, try to force some rotations at the beginning of this round.
You know, and Vans, I'm going to be honest, I really like the amount of space that DSG tend to take as well. You're already looking at this push-up Tupperware, making the shot calls here.
Yep.
understanding that they need this early information.
Agreed. And she's moved so far up that it's like, okay, well, it's going to be some mid pressure or some A site. And with this Allen drone, players are going to start rotating over towards this A site. You see that rotation coming as well from Sidian. And beautiful short darts coming out from Tenzin, as we mentioned before. Comfortable on this agent.
And shots being fired left and right, but the wall covering up the majority of that vision. There is a bit of that fear there from Shift, and they have actually played DSG before, so they understand the tactics this team is going to take.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, knowing is not better than putting it through. DSG again with the domination. This is the bonus round, by the way, and even though Amy there with a nice first touch on that entry, it's still not enough.
Yeah, this is a great bonus round for DSG. Sidian probably after this defuse could maybe find another rifle around, and there you go. She's going to pick up a Vandal. But the utility that was being used by DSG, so you see the practice coming in. The wall to delay, but slow orbs in the front to not allow a Shift to really move into the site or rush through, and even make them waste their own utility off the Owl drone that they were trying to scout into the A site, trying to figure out where DSG were playing. Shot darts that came through, snake bites on the ground, like the utility dump is actually great. Shift tried to find a great timing as soon as the wall came down, but you already had the rotation coming out from DSG. So Shift would probably have to start playing a little bit more defaulty, trying to figure out if they could get some lurks here, because DSG are understanding this game and its rotation quite well so far.
Yeah, the continuous wall down in mid, I'm pretty sure they understand this now. Kaede having to hold things together, having a util as well. Could honestly put that poison cloud to work, but it's not going to. Gonna let that entry come through, Vance.
Okay, that's still a good punish. You get a res on it. Okay, it's a good res if you're on the side of Shift, right? Because now it's like, okay, we could keep it. We force it out early. Maybe try to spin the rounds over into the later rounds. We see that Quarter Jade has an operator too. It's been shot, it's been heard. So this is all great learning experiences from Shift into this round. Getting a spike down is already a huge thing. So that's a lot of things that you could identify right away. That means that DSG might not want to play as aggressively into the next round because they've already used a res. They can now start using utility to try to find where the operator is going to be starting and maybe pivot towards the other extremity, right?
I'm just surprised. There was a moment there where Kaede was reloading. Nobody chased that. They had 3 players there standing down in mid. And unfortunately, the opportunity was not set out. But, I mean, yeah, DSG, they're looking very, very dominant with their performance right now. I mean, maybe Icebox might be the thing. Maybe it's that Quarter Jade picked up that operator, right, and got a private lesson from Tens. it's these factors that might come in that you really have to question.
Yeah. And for this round, you can already see it. The same conditioning on this wall, and we want to try to find the op. So the Sova's there, so I like it. Not moving towards the garage. It's going to be a deeper drone coming out from B main instead. So it's going to be a shorter path, and this is not going to be good. Oh, I was going to say for the people pushing out towards garage, but thankfully the shot missed. Tupperware gets the timing on these kills, though.
Always insane. Always an insane player, insane aim, and they bring something to this game. Kaede does as well. Already taken out Ori, which is going to be the main smoker for the team of Shift. They have no way of entry, so they have to give themselves a bit more of that space. Maybe they'll find it. Walking over down towards mid. Sidian tries to fight it, but not enough.
Yeah, definitely the first error that I saw that column here for Cud, to not get out of her owl drone once it got spotted. He fell down, but great spacing for 2 players trying to push Sidian back. How playing the off angle here. Nice. Look at that util flow again. 50 seconds left on the clock. You're keeping Shift towards the spawn.
It's very quiet. They know exactly what they need to do here. They've put a lot of attention directed down towards mid Vans. So they're looking towards A to possibly find an entry.
Yeah.
They're going to have to fight at least here for truly Tenzin.
It's the best opportunity.
30
Tenzin's
seconds left.
far away from getting the Hunter's Fury. Has 2 short darts still, but you could go for a tap and maybe plant somewhere else, but at least guarantee a plant for Shift. They've gone away from the operator that they faced against at the beginning of the round and saw the 2 players on mid. So this is a great read from Shift into the late rounds to get this plant. And even more beautiful to go for a wall plant to have a post plant positioning. This is actually doable here.
I think so as well. And you can see it's turret waiting around, down inside the middle of site. Tenzin, though, gathering such immense information. They can see exactly where that turret is landing, where they need to aim themselves and provide for the team with the post plant. Whoa, this is big. They give themselves some of that coverage needed to be able to keep that spike going. But the defusal not down yet. Kaide watching this choke point. There isn't anything going on. They're still waiting for these picks. The aim absolutely insane, and the angle peaking there, but Shift. This is the opportunity for them to bring back that first round down onto the board.
And they'll definitely get it. Great job for Shift. As we said, it was doable. The nanostorms onto the spike had still slow orbs, good utility to delay. And a retake looked really good for DSG at the start. Like the wall that was actually put up by Sidian at 410, I thought that was great. But while we're trying to spam towards that wall, there was not more players from DSG trying to fight in front of the 410 to actually punish Amy, who was on the top of that belt, breaking that wall. So with that, it gave an opportunity for the last two players. Great utility placed down by Jas with the alarm bot 2 to spot Kaide and do that 2 versus X situation that came back in their favor. So great adaptation.
Get out of my way.
And unfortunately to that one, a little bit of a mishap as Kaide looks like she was trying to get that Viper spin onto 410. So that's going to slow things down at the beginning of this round.
Oh,
Nice shot.
Initiated.
the best shot too. Because again, they lose out on that smoke coverage. And this feels like it's been happening a lot, right? Ori, one of the first picks down here for Shift, leaving them with absolutely no coverage to go down onto site. But Cud going to be able to put themselves in that position to get that information through.
Smoke's not needed when you're able to do that lockdown and a push forward. Amy trying to gain some space from that Blade Storm as well. But it's still going to be a 5-player retake from DSG. They've done it before. They got really close for the defuse. They know where their plan is at this time. And I think you have to fight more forward, knowing how passively Shift is playing.
Oh, and look at the synergy here. So many of these players already preparing, and the Vipers pick Kaide pulling it out at the right moment. Now, not only do they have that coverage, but you got to fight for that retake as well. And with Quarter Jade on the up, it's almost impossible. Looking for more. Now you got Tenzin watching down in the corner, and it's over in a matter of seconds with the defusal coming through. I mean, this team, listen, they keep bringing the heat here.
Yep. And this is a great thing that I like from DSG too. Something that I'll say negatively to start. When I was first watching their first scrims, it was always like, hey, we have a great plan at the beginning of these rounds, but once they start getting the first step in the early round, the mid-rounding was not that great. There was no adaptation to like, okay, what do we do after we take the initial spot? If we lose players, if we win players. At this point, Kaide misses her Viper's pit at the beginning of 410, but on the spot, on the fly, thinks about using the pit for the retake, and then you see Tenzin playing in front of that as well, just so that Shift can't move forward and deny that plant. So I just love that. On the fly, you're still able to find that synergy that was missing when they first started this team.
I mean, might also be within that background of being friends and being able to communicate with each other in a way that you understand what your teammate wants. Kaide and Tupperware going up and down, holding both angles here with a nice trade-off. Making sure the game is going to be alive, and it does not stop. I mean, the spike down left inside of the possession of Kaide. Now Ori has to fight that, but unfortunately, Vans in a 1v4, especially having that Sheriff down, and you're looking down at what's going on in Snowman. It's nice off Ori. I mean, that's the first one, but it's over. Quarter Jade, again, too strong with the op.
Yeah, we'll definitely take those rounds. Quarter Jade is definitely on point, has been hitting those shots quite well on the shots that we're able to see from her POV. And Shift, I know, it was just a pistol round that came through, so it's not too bad. Able to do a bit of econ damage. But with the amount of rounds that you strung here, out of 7 rounds played, 6 of them have come in favor of DSG, so the economy's still flowing quite well. Especially when Quarter Jade hasn't had to use her Blade Storm either. So this is like deep round going into DSG's economy that they're looking pretty good for the next 2-3 rounds, even if they lose a few. But now we finally have attackers' ultimates here. Hunter's Fury, Viper's Mid, aggressive push from the front. Well done.
I mean, this is what we're always seeing, right? Just the space taking here from DSG. Continuous again. Quarter Jade taking a really big part of that down towards the A site. Still going to be watching though, especially as Cud takes their time peeking this. They know the op is there, so, you know, having to figure out a plan to make this work.
You have to adapt. You've lost your duelist early at the beginning, so the space creation is going to be difficult. I love that you still have a lurk, though, from Jas. This might be a great opportunity to see if DSG could, like, bite onto a lot of fakes and Shift could rotate back, literally shift back towards the B site. But you already see now Jazz starting to fall back towards mid. Or maybe the inkling, it's just a last second hit into the A
Spike
site.
down A.
Oh, and the mid rotation has to come in quick. You can see the flank already commencing. They've lost the spike down. They're not going to pick it up yet. They need to try to at least isolate these 1v1s, but it's impossible. Quarter Jade bringing up the skill, the asset of what they are to this team.
30 seconds
and Jazz
left.
too late on that flank, so you're going to have to fight this by yourself. Unfortunately, though, Tupperware already watching down under two.
And it's not her fault too. I think Jazz did a great job getting the backstab earlier on onto Kaide from mid into orange, catching Kaide off the rotation. But this, trying to go for a jiggle peek, you still have a recon dart available. You know that there's an op. The op got to pick early, like the first 5 seconds into round on top of pipes, and you're still trying to go for a body peek and trying to think that your rifles are going to be able to drop Quarter Jade with the way that she's been opping so far. So every single piece that's been locked down by DSG continues to be anchored away. Shift has to start using a little bit more of that utility to push their opponents back so they can capitalize on space. And I'm hoping that's what's going to come out from this timeout.
And actually, you bring up such a brilliant point, too, because, you know, understanding Quarter Jade is there with the op, and they're always going to be occupying that space. Like you said, again, utilizing that util, create some of that space. You could offset Jade so well just by utilizing the drone, right? Putting that out there and making sure that you're aware of that information, putting Quarter Jade in a position where they're uncomfortable. And it really does feel like, yeah, that is a thing that is lacking. But overall, they've gone A site more than once. They understand Jade is there preoccupying that space. I mean, so what are they going to opt for now?
Yeah, and Quarter Jade's also been playing towards B too, right? So DSG are still rotating this off left and right on different spot around the map, and it's Shift's job right now to figure out where this could be coming from, where the positioning is going to be. And I have to put the fact that Jazz had a great, rotation kill when everybody else was trying to do contact plays towards the A site. So they might have great opportunities to play for alerts, play for fakes, and try to work from that.
Oh, this is good, though. I mean, they put a really heavy entry going down. Quarter Jade, unfortunately, being left alone, so can't hold the site this time around with the operator. But you got this Viper's Pit, and this is, I feel like, that missing piece that we really needed to see.
Spike planted.
Silva can play far back here as you see Cut starting to fall back, but look at Tupperware on this backstab. This could be pretty huge here to deny the Hunter's Fury on the pulse plant.
Yeah, no denial here, though. I'm liking the silence from Tupperware, but they expect it. Yeah, Jazz was there waiting around, understanding the situation, but Kaide knows how to handle a smoke, if anything. Although Ari shuts it down. You got Ari watching down just below. They understand. They have the space, and they have that creation there. They don't need to overstep it. It's another one. Cityon goes down as well. It's up to Quarter Jade. I mean, the smoke goes down. They wait on that Hunter's Fury, but it's not enough time regardless. Although, I mean, a second round on the board for Shift.
Yeah, and that's what we want. For at this point, if you feel like you've wasted the Hunter's Fury, but you get a point on the scoreboard after how the score's been going, I'll take that as a dub any day. And it was well done. I love the double play that we had from Shift to make sure that we re-cleared towards the back of Belt. Knowing that you're far away from the Killjoy utility, the Killjoy is actually moving forward. Jazz is moving forward with everybody else to take over the A site. So I love that you commit as a group into a commitment into the site. You work as a duo to retake against a potential flanker, and usually it's just one. Not many teams flank with 2 or 3 unless you're like a Fnatic or something. And it's nice that they were able to win that fight against Tupperware's flank. So great plan off the timeout that they used to put 2-1 to the board here. And moving into round number 10, it's going to be a different story. The read is already out there. Look how forward we're pushed up here for the duelists out towards B. And everybody's just pinned now towards the A side, sandwiched and cornered.
Oh, and I like this. They know Jazz is going to peek that. They know that the information is there. They get a free pick and back themselves off. That's the obedience that we like to see, especially out of DSG. That's a free pick on their side. They lost a strong player that kept that information standing around the flank, so Ori feels the need to watch that.
Ooh. Even baiting out the res too to try to get a ping onto the res. Jazz, though, still manages to survive, so we like that. It's a 1-for-1, a res for a Hunter's Fury, and now back into a default, back into Rush, actually, inside the A site.
Oh, you
Spike
can't beat the
down
aim, though.
A.
The duelist, V duelist coming through. Seem like
30
Amy's going to be able to win
seconds
that one out, but of course the lockdown, and this is great. It's creating that expanding space there that was exactly needed for Shift. It feels like a lot of the time they were lacking that, and now Ari's trying to regain that. Right now, space always there for Shift at this moment, with
One
Ari
enemy
coming around
remaining.
down on the flank, and Amy picking things off left and right. I don't know though, Tupperware, and they have an aim of their own and a soul of their own as well. Although Amy takes it down.
Big round there for Amy, and the second time now that they've gotten flanked here, DSG from mid. Yes, the first time Jas got a kill and got instantly taken down, but that's because everybody else died inside the A site. This time around, you still had players inside the A site on a pulse plan for Shift, so you maybe didn't really identify a deep flank deeper into the round on the retake, and that was a great timing in the end there, done by Ari, using a little bit of you know, the Nats old school style of Liquid back then too, to lurk and flank here as that Viper. So
Yeah.
this timeout is okay. Let's think about those, right? They had a great opening kill for DSG with that Tupperware and Quarter Jade push from outside the garage to ADS and get that pick onto Jas. But then when we fell back and wanted to play the numbers advantage, we were too tunnel vision to try to, you know, really check our corners and clear our corners to make sure we're not going to get later flanked. So I like this timeout coming out here from Ruin. This is a great opportunity to dial in into those fundamentals and keep those top of mind so you could maintain such a strong lead here in this first half.
Yeah, they have the right approach, right? And you said it best. Just very, very small, minor inconveniences that continue to happen where it really does change up the pacing of the game. Although, I mean, with DSG, we've seen the resolve time and time again within the game. Oh, no. Yeah, I think that was a miss. Unfortunately.
Especially when Amy has Blade Storm too. I feel like it was like a double updraft she was going to try to do towards spawn and
Standing ahead.
maybe try to get a pick there towards Boiler, and you can't do that anymore. That's unlucky.
Listen, Quarter J is making the best out of this, though.
I'll agreed.
It's good, though, Amy. This wall, that's going to be a pain, especially if they want to work their way up on this. They're going to have to be as silent as possible, but that also stalls for some time.
And you're right, but I also like all of this from Shift. And there's that pick. We were waiting for a right timing to try to get up onto that wall by baiting this owl drone on the right side. And with this opener, you have the whole map to work with. You can always rotate back towards B if you want to. You can always fade back towards A. Like, look at these two players that are still holding towards the A site. There's just so much you can work with right now for Shift. And so this kill.
So, Tupperware, I don't know how they continue to get shots like these. The 2Ks left and right. It's like they align once they hear Tupperware's name or smell them even coming close by. But losing to your players, Vance, that's a big disadvantage.
A huge disadvantage, because you already saw right after Ari's like, okay, I'm coming back towards B. And that's where Amy's starting to warm up and has been popping off here on pulse plans on the A side, this time opening it up towards B. They even up the tally, and now it's up to Quarter J to pull out her own Blade Storm and see if DSG can go for this retake from a Snowman, and she does so.
Enemy remaining.
This team is really putting the work down. You already got 2 players down on the side of Shift. It's up to Amy. They hear the defusal. They don't believe it yet, but they get in the isolation. Isolating one isn't enough. They need to get the other 2. And you got that teamwork facing off again. Man, I mean, Vans, I want to hear your thoughts on this, because it really does feel like DSG overall. It's that synergy that I wasn't expecting to be so heavy.
Last round
Yes,
in the
and
half.
I agree with you, Gompers. This is a night and day DSG from what I've been studying over the streams that has been going around. So
Yeah.
I feel that there's been like some extra curriculum activities and practices as a team outside of the streams that are being put up here by DSG and by Ruin. So great job to them. I wonder if they have a hyperbolic time chamber like it's Dragon Ball or something, and they're just coming out as Super Saiyans into this game. But
Oh, God.
it's a great display of defense that I've seen so far from DSG.
Yeah, it might also be just the exhilaration of being able to play in a tournament like this one. I mean, their first showcase, they want to make it look good, especially with the traction that they've gained so far. Quarter J, that's big. They lose the operator, but they're going to have to go against Tupperware again. Unfortunately, 2K does not come out, so at least for some time.
They could still wait this out. Play as a team for DSG. You have a res still available. an opportunity to res towards screens and also have a pit on that. So I like here that shift. They're playing very forward into the site to prevent this res from happening.
I like the space taking here. Got one player watching just on top. Mid-side here. Okay, Ari breaks the wall. Wall goes down, but there is some exposure here. Doesn't hit the shot. This is going to be big. I mean, they leave DSG with a slight advantage. The resurrection coming through. They have to fight it, but it's up to Cud. 72 health left. They have to beat this. They have to find the fights, and they do. It's beautiful from Cud. A Red Bull clutch.
And that's how you do it there. That's how you actually gain the morale, the momentum moving into the second half by getting a clutch like that with the Red Bull clutch from Cud. Playing the off angle. Every single one of these players that played after this res, right? I was looking at whoever's on the left side of Maze at 410 and Cud right there just to play the off angle, run that clock down. Don't try to force for the quote-unquote easy kill onto the Sage res because you're not sure who's playing behind that peak that you're about to go to the corner. Play the time into your favor and take advantage of that round. So at the end of the day, at the end of this half, to still salvage 3 rounds out of the 4, I'll take that as a nice victory. Shift could maybe turn this over onto the second half right now, especially that they have a little bit more delay and a little bit more utility to prevent the delays from happening with this double Sentinel and Viper.
And we're seeing that infamous mid wall that Shift actually likes to abuse coming through from DSG. Going to try to take that to their advantage, maybe turn it back around. Tupperware aware of the flank. They hear Ori, and they're taking understanding of the situation, but again, right, they got to fight this 1v2. Quarter J there behind to make sure to get the trade off, and the shots are solid. Got this pistol round already looking like it's going in favor of DSG. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, in a couple seconds, we'll be able to end this off very nice and easy, unless Jazz puts out a miracle.
Goodbye.
I don't know if that's going to happen. There was some tension there left standing, but again, Jazz, unfortunately, too many players left the life down on site.
Definitely, and that's the power as well from, yes, you have a lot of delay possibilities. You've seen that from Jazz getting a Nanoswarm kill on the attempt of a plan towards B. You have a Sage that could slow orb, as I was talking before, and the Viper to put these walls up on the A site. But the thing is, for DSG, you're playing double duelist as well, right? You can dash through all of this. You can add extra pressure too from breaking crosshair placement and gaining the space off Quarter Jade and have Tupperware follow behind. And that could actually just break all that type of utility too. So it feels like Shift, at this point, we're going to have to start playing a little bit more behind that utility as well, just to make sure that they don't get overwhelmed like they just did on those long-range battles. Because you have to use so much utility on pistol round to try to delay, you're working with classics or something like that into your pistol. Whilst for everybody at DSG, we had, you know, ghosts and whatnot that do a lot of damage.
Yeah, not enough damage being made. Just holding these close angles. I like to see me some shorty plays as well, so, you know, this really does fix my craving. I like
I'm a
that,
fan of
though.
sharp headshots. So
Yeah.
I like that one. Still, it's going to stay pretty slow, though. Like, after this pick, we're still trying to identify, is this still going to be a stack? A gamble stack that we have from Shift somewhere, left or right? And because of their positioning, like, look at Tenzin, so far behind. Hasn't used any of that utility yet left, so you just are trying to protect the rifles that were left behind, trying to use the other ones to get openings. And I like it as well for DSG. Like, they win pistol, they move in with pretty much an FPX buy or a Na'Vi buy now with the Vandals and the Spectres that they have in this round.
Happening to get the plant down just as that wall comes up, leaving Tenzin able to push themselves back a bit. But there isn't a lot going on down in sight. I mean, not a lot of util as well, so they're going to have to use their aim to push through for this. Tenzin's the only one that can give them the information needed to understand the situation at hand, but Tenzin peeks it, tries to fight it, and it's beautiful from DSG again. Round after round, they just keep on slaying.
Yep, definitely went into the basics for that one instead. I mean, like I said, Tenzin still had the opportunity of using Allen Drone or using a recon arc to find information, but we went through, hey, let's go for the triple swing off a spike plant. We still know that it's a weaker buy that we have from Shift, so playing classics versus the rifles and the specters that they have, it's okay to do exactly what it just did there to just plow the opposition when they were trying to go for that defuse. So this puts DSG now up to 10. We finally have a gun round coming in, and the beauty of buying that Vandal into that second round is you're guaranteeing, or almost guaranteeing, more picks and building that economy up, so you're almost pretty much at even economy and also in terms of weaponry moving into round, I guess, number 3 at this point of the half.
Oh, wall goes down. Amy's left. I mean, they could dash out of this position, but they're going to try to fight a shot. Nothing coming through, though. Luckily enough, taking their life with them.
Yeah. Still good info. That's actually cut that they spotted here. Or, sorry, Tenzin that they spotted towards the orb. That could be an indication that a hit may be coming into the later rounds, and Tupperware is trying to play contact.
Oh, no. Doesn't peek it. Unaware of where Ari is standing. Timing, a big essence of this game. 1 second can really put you down in the gutter, but I mean, looking at this rotation, Vance, doesn't seem like DSG wants a piece of A at all. Or maybe they do. I mean, seeming like...
Maybe they do.
Yeah, maybe they do.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right. They were pulling back and pulling up the orb here on mid, so you're trying to force a rotate, and it works. Look at that rotate that comes out towards Ari. That means that there's only 2 players inside the A site now, so you're playing the power numbers to sell that fake on mid, fight towards the A site, and now even spot them for a pixel plant.
Oh, but the wall is there. It leaves Amy alive just for a couple seconds more. The DSG, they have to find a way to keep things together with the spike plant. Although the biggest issue here is that retake. You got so many players here playing for that post plant, but the wall comes up. They're unaware of what's going on, and L is watching it to make sure the wall stays up as long as possible. With the frags coming through from DSG, a bit too strong. The 1v1 corridor. Jade is up to it. The task, the isolation not there. And they leave it down to that 10-5 there from Shift.
Running forward for the defuse too, just to prioritize the lockdown for Jas. Well done. Yes, beautiful retake as you called here, Gompers. And at the same time, I gotta say, DSG looked like they had that in the bag from the way that it executed, but it's just those 2 Sovas where Tenzin put a recon dart towards the A site, nobody shot it, pinged 2 players, and he got the easy plant. And then on the other end, Cut throws a recon dart towards the A tower. Nobody breaks it. It pings out 2 or 3 players, and it allows the Shift to just flood forward and get even better crosshair placement on the swings to be able to win those duels. So a slight mistake coming out from both teams, but that was definitely taken advantage of here by Shift on the retake.
DSG not taking as much space as they did before on the defense. Seems like there is a bit of a struggle here, moving up towards Kitchen. As the wall stands there, leaving Tupperware wanting more, but unfortunately more is not there. There's so much util running about here down in mid. I mean, they understood the situation for Shift. This is a good breed.
Yeah. Shift are definitely reading this correctly. Looks like we were able to break the turret into Kitchen as well, so that's forcing to rotate out from Boiler. This is still DSG defaulting here. You saw the dash earlier on towards Pipes. Some pressure coming in from Corridor J. Gets the heal as she was damaged a bit here. And the heal came out from Sidian. And trying to win this battle. Meanwhile, still looking up towards this A site. It's weakened up. There's only 1 player playing the off angle by the left side of Maze. A very strong position where Cut is at. But decides otherwise to fall back. And hesitate a little bit. Maybe even comfortable playing the retake. This is huge, actually. Misinformation off the recon dart that's coming out. But they're still gambling for that. Look at everybody rotating from Shift. More pressure towards mid, faster rotate towards A.
We might actually be able to see a fight. No, nothing going down in mid. Instead, all the attention being directed towards what is going on down inside. Tupperware misses out on an opportunity to pick a fight off with 12 seconds left. The spike finally planted. Now they're going to play that post plant position that we saw before. Kaide standing around with the Sheriff. They're going to have to find a fight, if anything, to pick up a Vandal. And right here is the moment they find it. And DSG so far, everything looking good. Tupperware with the aim is impossible to beat. And it's the continuation. And a nice flawless coming through from DSG.
And 3 players didn't even get damage playing inside the site. That was crazy how that was held there. Tupperware, Tenzin, and Sidian inside the site and didn't get any damage. Well done. I just love how that was played. It feels that for me that Shift didn't use enough utility to deny a plant. I was staring at a Cud into the on the overlay the whole time. Had 2 shot darts to work with to maybe try to fight back, at least for the retake if you're allowing the plant to happen. I know she was getting pressured when she got spotted behind by that recon dart, but there was definitely some utility that was missing to allow for Shift to get the information on that retake, and DSG, well, because of that, are able to play the off angles and win all those fights in the end. So, change of pace. Tupperware looking for some mid control. Full eco for Shift. They're just looking to push and gain some coverage, and it falls the same way. I mean, Amy dying early towards the A main side was very similar to when Ellie was pushing out towards B with a pistol, just trying to do some heroic plays solo. I'd like to see maybe like some sort of crunch instead if they really wanted to play aggressive. And because of that, then you're just hoping that your shares are going to be on point to do just a bit of damage.
Not ready yet.
Yeah, damage is going to be big here, though, right? They've already lost 1 for Shift. And they're listening into the massive amounts of entry coming through. Tupperware with the second blind, already down, but Ori gets walled off. He just left them by their lonesome and threw them up as bait, the sacrifice to the gods to see if they could try to fight one off on their own. But Tupperware seeming like the crosshair placement a bit better.
And the silver lining is that the next round, you're guaranteeing a lockdown. When you're facing now map point for DSG, Shift has an opportunity to try to maybe swing that momentum back in their favor, right? So, well, we'll take that. But, like I said, it's a silver lining, but it's a very, 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 very thin one. Because this is, okay, I was going to say like 2 flawlesses in a row for DSG, but it's still 1 flawless, 4 players still alive into this one. The money's flowing once again for DSG. Lots of rounds ahead to be able to close this round. It doesn't really matter here at this point if you're finishing at 13-7, 13-8. But if you're able to close this down to 13-5, because of the way that you've been playing on the attack, this brings out huge momentum for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I mean, this also is the first map as well, so a lot of leeway there in figuring out what you want to do for the second. But this is also the last opportunity, you know, with that lockdown coming through from Jazz.
Exactly.
To bring this back for Shift.
Jazz could have gotten picked there, and that would have been that lockdown already gone. But you talk about those opportunities, an opportunity for them to win this run here and still juggle more ults available for a Shift. And I like this so far. You fall back, the wall's up, you play the utility to delay, allow your teammates to rotate, and we actually have a flank coming in this time too. Amy is looking to go for this 1-versus-1 against Skyday.
Toxin screen down.
Oh, Amy's working it out. We're actually going on the off angle. This is beautiful. Amy read into that amazingly. Understanding Kaine's going to be watching that, but Tupperware as well, trying to pick these fights off, but it feels like there's so many peaks, but not enough util to utilize in these moments. I mean, this is what's important, right? The defusal comes through, and you leave it up to Shift to once again bring this back exactly what we needed.
Yep. And like we've mentioned, right, the lockdown forces out the Hunter's Fury even coming out from Tenzin. The pit and the wall allowing the defuse to come in, but then Cud getting some kills, activating the Hunter's Fury. So you're able now to have Bladestorm available. Hunter's Fury, great opportunities to mount a slow comeback, but you're still behind by 6 rounds. So you can't do any mistakes at all. You have to understand where DSG are currently playing, what type of plays are they currently doing. And on DSG's end, they've been doing a great job just 1 round doing defaults, 2nd round doing double duelists, this round going aggressive, right, on creating space onto the B, trying to force a rotate. But off that, look how Amy, she silently made it up towards the A tower with this Vandal, and that could actually punish some players that are going to try to maybe lurk for contact into A, especially when the Silva's all the way towards this B site.
Actually reversing the roles here, because it feels like Amy, you know, with that aggressive push, like you said, coming up, taking the role of what Quarter Jade has done before. The space taking is immense here for Shift, especially with the momentum that they have dropped. They need to pick it back up again. Oh, and we're seeing the fight
Here it is.
come down firsthand. Yeah, this has me excited. Amy knows, is understanding, but the reaction time, seconds too late.
Now you have picks on both ends. DSG can do whatever they want in this map. This is going to be so difficult with the last 3 players pretty much pinned inside mid here for Shift. With the pit coming up on top of that, oh man.
Okay. I mean, taking the fight off, I'm not sure how
30
already won that.
seconds
Tenzin having the advantage there. But slowly working it back around. You got a 4v2. Chances, actually now a 5v5, right? The resurrection comes down. They're solidifying their spot here in this game of Icebox. Tupperware's getting a bit confident though. I'm not so sure if a punishment is going to come down. Cud missing the shots. It's
One
quarter
enemy
Jade,
remaining.
leaving them in a raw spot. But Tupperware, actually no, Tenzin now. Gonna have to clean things up. You got that
Attackers
13-6 from DSG, fans. Listen, it was their first showing, but it was a good one.
The first shot, indeed. I'm thoroughly impressed actually at DSG on this first map. This is very well done. Even when you saw that last frag that you saw towards screens, Slorb onto the ground, no chances there for Cut to get anything done. So I just really liked to hear how we use that utility from DSG's side. From Shift, like I said, they had great moments where they were able to find timings off, like rotates and whatnot. I think defaults might be the way to really try to, break around DSG's defense. But overall, it's still, DSG putting up a great game.
Listen, you could see the amount of work and effort they put into that because the strategies were showing, right? This just overall space that was being taken up by Quarter J, not to mention Kaide putting in those Viper's pits in the right moment to solidify their spot down inside of the champion of that first map. But of course, I'm actually curious to see what the desk has to say about that as well. So we'll be right back to the analyst desk right after this break.
Red Bull gives you wings.